Hi, Mr. Eaton here with your 9 video lesson on decimals and rounding. As always, remember to make some notes in the study notes section of your exercise book and to stop the video when required to make some notes and also to complete some of the questions. The first thing we're going to look at is rounding numbers to certain decimal places. The most important thing to remember is if you're rounding to 2 decimal places, which is this place over here, we need to look at the third one to see if the third one is greater than or equal to 5. If it is, then we need to add 1 to this number. If it isn't, then we just ignore it altogether and we leave that number as it is. Alright, so looking at this number, I want you to round it to 2 decimal places, and then I want you to round it to 1. Put the video on pause and have a go. Right, so how'd you go? So looking at this number, that's my first decimal place, that's my second decimal place, and that is my third decimal place. If I'm rounding to 2 decimal places, I need to look at my third decimal place and see if that is bigger than or equal to 5. In this case it isn't. So all I need to do is write my answer as 1.54. Okay. And if I was to have a look at this number and round it to 1 decimal place, I'm looking, that's my first and that's my second. So is my second decimal place bigger than or equal to 5? No, it isn't. So I just round it off to 1.5. So that would be 1.5. Have a go at these ones over here to 2 decimal places and also to 1 decimal place. Put the video on pause and come back when you're ready. Alright, so we want to round this one to 2 decimal places. That's my first, that's my second, that's my third. Is my third decimal place greater than or equal to 5? Yes it is, which means I need to add 1 to the 4, so that becomes 5. So it becomes 0.25, and that's rounded to 2 decimal places. What about if I wanted to round it to 1 decimal place? Well, that's the number there, that's the first decimal place. I need to look at my second decimal place. Is that bigger than or equal to 5? It is less than, so I do nothing with it, and I simply write 0.2, because that is to 1 decimal place. Now we'll be looking at rounding numbers to significant figures. In this number, which is 2,567, if I want to round it to 2 significant figures, I look at these 2 numbers over here, and then I look at that number and I see if that number is greater than or equal to 5. In this case it is. So what I need to do is add 1 to that. So my number therefore becomes 2,600, because we have rounded it to 2 significant numbers. If I was to take the same number and round it to 3 significant numbers, which are those 3 there, I look at that number and I say, is that greater than or equal to 5? Yes it is. So therefore I can write that number as 2,570, because this number over here needs to be increased by 1 because that is greater than or equal to 5. So that becomes a 7 with a 0 on the end. Alright, have a go at these ones over here. Put the video on pause and come back when you're ready. First of all to 2 significant figures and then to 3 significant figures. Alright, so this number over here, we want to go to 2 significant figures. That's the first 2 there. We look at the third one, we can see it's a 0, so this number is actually going to be 23,000. So 23,000. If we look at the next number, we want it to 3 significant places, so that's 3 there, that's the third one. Is that greater than or equal to 5? Yes it is, so we add 1 to that, so it becomes 23,100. So 23,100. Alright, we can also use estimation using significant figures. If this is our number, what could we make that number significant to? So it would be a number that we could use. So I would say that that would be 30, because 27 is closer to 30. Add, what would this number, 1,329.5, what would we round that to? Well, I guess I'd round that one, because that is less than 5, so I'd round that to 1,000. So I'd say 1,000 multiplied by, and if I looked at that number there, I would say my significant figure would be 0, 0, and 6, because that's a 4. So I would say multiplied by 0.006. So to sort this sum out, I would say my 30 stays the same, so it would be 30 plus, and I know that 1000 multiplied by 0.06 is going to give me 6. So therefore 30 plus 6 gives me 36, and that would be my answer. And that's the end of the lesson on decimals and rounding.